I'm Brockton McKinney. I'm a writer for Full Moon Features, Dark Horse Comics, Mad Magazine, and Holy Mountain. And I'm here today to talk about my favorite toy right here in the Holy Mountain Toy Vault. It's the brand new toy vault, and so they're asking some of us to come out and talk about a toy that we love. So I brought my most beloved toy, the 1970s Godzilla from Mattel. I actually was gonna bring the Clash of the Titans Kraken, but right at the last moment I chose this guy because he's really my toy that if I could only have one toy, this would be the guy. He's got amazing features. He's a chunker of a toy. He's got the tongue fire. He's got the wrist that shoots off, the whole hand. I'm not gonna do it, but he's got it. And he's just a real cool toy, especially for the time period that he was being put out. So my parents were always super great about buying me toys. They knew that I loved to play with toys and had a really active imagination. I was a real just like moving around kid. So I would be like, I need this Godzilla. And they'd be like, fine, if you'll just be quiet and leave us alone for a little while. So I had this Godzilla and two Shogun Warriors, and they were my toys. And I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And my parents had just bought their first house. We lived in an apartment. They had just moved into a house. And it had a big concrete carport and a little utility shed at the back of it that my dad kept his tools in. And I had my bike, my Hot Wheel, or Big Wheel, and then my Shogun Warriors also stayed out there. Godzilla came inside with me. Godzilla was in my bed at night. Like, that's the guy. He sat beside me, came with me everywhere. Absolutely loved him. And then probably daily, I would go out into the carport when my parents were gone, cars are gone, and I would go into the utility shed. I would get out my Shogun Warriors. It was Raideen and Gaiking, although I didn't know who they were. Like, I just knew they were Shogun Warriors. My parents did not keep packaging, throw that shit away. So I was like, I didn't get a chance to read up on these guys. I would call him like Robotron or something. Robotron, you're in trouble today. Because the Shogun Warriors was a bad guy, because I loved Godzilla, so he was the good guy. So I would go out, get my Shogun Warriors out. Godzilla's coming with me. I would take these cardboard boxes out, they're all broken down, and I would set them up all over the carport, like a little city. And I would put the Shogun Warriors in like random places throughout the city. And then I would take Godzilla and place him like just beyond, there was a little brick retainer wall that separated the carport from the yard. I'd put him right there. This was like every day, like 7 days a week, this is like what I'm doing. So I'd go back in there, get my Big Wheel, and to my Big Wheel I had attached, it was like a toy I'd had when I was younger. It was like a little steering wheel kind of thing with it had like you could pull levers and knobs and shit, and it was just, I've tried to find it since then because I want that toy, but the only thing I really remember about it is that on the side it had these rings, these little circular rings that were the same color. There was nothing to them. They didn't even look like they belonged on it. And when I got older, I thought about it and I was like, I'll bet that was where something was supposed to be punched out. Like it went to production and they were like, fuck it, kids don't need turn signals, we're not gonna put it on there. So it was just this little circular weird thing that sat there. But to me, it was the button that you called Godzilla. So I had attached this. I'd used it to call Godzilla as a child as soon as I got it. But then when I got the Big Wheel, I was like, shit, I need this button. How the hell am I gonna call Godzilla? So my dad helped me attach it to the front of the Big Wheel, right beside the handles, with like tie downs. And we got it on there, and I would ride that thing around. So I get on the, shit, you know what, at first I would start by leaving the house and telling my wife goodbye because I was going to work. Like, this is like every damn day. I was having coffee and I was like, honey, I've got to go to work and I hope you and the terrible children are fine and I'll see you tonight, you know? Don't worry, I'll see you tonight. I go out, I'm drinking imaginary coffee, I put it down, I go out, get on my Big Wheel, and I'm like riding in circles around this city, and then I would see the Shogun Warriors. And I'd be like, oh shit, Shoguns! Oh, Shoguns! And I was like, oh god, I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, oh right, every car comes equipped with the button that you call Godzilla. Beep! So I push the button And I get off the vehicle, I grab Godzilla from their table, and now he's gonna just absolutely rip shit on these guys. And so then they fight, and they fire their wrists at each other, and he's whacking them with a tail, and they're firing fists, and he's licking them with his flame tongue, which, I mean, it's another reason I love this toy, because like as a 6-year-old, I was like, he's got a flame tongue, and he's an animal that can fire his hand off and reattach it. And I was like, fantastic! That's like, I've never seen that in a movie, I've never seen that in a cartoon, but I wasn't like, well actually he never, no, shit no. I was like, man, the flame tongue. And people who are like, no, it's the actual, it's like forked. It's a fucking tongue. It's a flame tongue. I was like, that's great, because he's like licking people with his fire tongue and just like shooting his fist off and punching them in the face and everything. I was like, there's no, it didn't bother me. In fact, it made me love Godzilla the character even more, because I felt like this is just two of the things you didn't know this motherfucker could do. He's the most powerful creature on Earth. He might open up his chest and fire a fucking ice beam at you. You don't know what he's gonna do. It's Godzilla. You haven't seen it yet because he didn't choose to use it yet. He just started with the flame tongue and his firing his hand off. He's an animal that fires his hand off and reattaches it. So he's going at him, but eventually the two Shogun warriors would team up on him. And they're like both, he's like holding his own. Godzilla's not going down, but he's having a rough time. And he would give me this look. He'd be like, you see that guy, he's got a very, Godzilla never talked. He was like, my Godzilla didn't talk. The robots, the Shoguns, talk wicked shit the whole time. They're like, Godzilla, we're gonna eat your cheese for breakfast. Godzilla, you look like a big green dick to us. You know, they were like constantly belittling him and talking shit about his mom. And so he's like going at him, and he turns and he gives me the look like, hey man, you want in on this? And I'm always like, what? I mean, how am I gonna, because in my head, like the scale is, I'm a little guy in a little car and there's these giant creatures. And Godzilla's giving me this look like, I can give you some of my power. And I'm like, oh, fuck it, yes, Godzilla, I'm not worthy, give it to me. And he would telepathically shoot the power into me, and I would, in my garage, just broad damn daylight, scream like, I'm growing! I feel your power, Godzilla! This is like, just absolutely, I was like, oh, look at me. I've become the karate creature. And that is actually what I called my mom right before this to make sure that I was like, I was the karate creature, right? She was like, oh yeah, I was a karate creature. And because it was the 80s, so you knew karate, you were gonna be, so I guess I was like a humanoid reptile kind of thing that could do karate, and I'm as big as them now. So then it's my turn, and man, I would kick the living shit out of those Shoguns. If you saw a child do what I did to those toys right now, you would fall on your fucking knees and cry. But I was just like, they're toys, they're bad guys. Godzilla's my boy, I am going to whip the shit out of them. I mean, I would kick them, I would punch them, I would pick them up over my head and throw them into a wall. And they would just smash and fall down. I'd be like, suck on that, Robotron! You know, just like going crazy, and Godzilla's like, yeah, he's giving it to him too. He's firing his fist and licking them up with fire and busting them out. Like he's having, we're both just like tearing the living shit out of these guys. They turn tail and run. He gives me the look, you know, where he's like, hey man, nice job, karate creature. And I'm like, thank you, Godzilla. And then I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Power's gone. I shrink back down. He goes back to the ocean, which is just right across the retainer wall. I get into my car. I never make it to work. I never once, 365 fucking days a year, I never made it to work. It was always a problem in the city. It was always me and Godzilla. And I would go home and I would tell my wife, it was always some variation on the story, but I'd be like, no, I didn't go to work. No, because robots, Shoguns, and Godzilla was there. And I turned into a karate, I know, but I turned into a karate creature. I know he was happy with the actions. I know, no, I didn't call anybody. How could I call anybody? I probably fired, I don't know, what difference does it make? We should go out tonight and eat and celebrate. I'm a karate creature. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, but you know, it was an amazing day. Every single day. And so that is why I love him so much, because not only is he this just kick-ass toy with all these weird, super weird features, this big chunker, and just like this beautiful design, but he also like holds like all these like memories to me where I'm just like, every time I see him, like actually when I see him every single day, I still get that weird dopamine hit, that lithium sunset kind of thing where you're just like, ah, hey buddy, what's going on? And I haven't turned into Karate Creature in quite some time, but I know that if he needs me, then, you know, I'll be there for him. Absolutely. I will, not my new Shoguns that I got, because like my old Shoguns are like destroyed. Like they're like, they look like their faces have been like cheese grated because I'm like rolling these dudes across concrete and slamming them into walls. But I would definitely I would help him out in any situation. And that's why I wanted to come to the Holy Mountain Toy Vault, the brand new Toy Vault, and talk to you guys about the 70s Mattel Godzilla, my absolute favorite toy. I'm Brockton McKinney.